So this weekend, Manchester United returned to Premier League action with a tricky home game against Sunderland. And if you ask me, it's time for Lammens. Now, before discussing why Lammens should come into the 11, we first of all need to discuss why Bayindir should leave the 11. And if we are just throwing a blanket statement at this, Bayindir has started the season poorly. Starting off the season with the error against Arsenal. If he doesn't make that error, we go on to draw 0-0. That's a good point to start the season. From both Bayindir and Onana last season, we have simply seen far too many mistakes. Between the two of them, they haven't been good enough in the Manchester United goal, and a big problem is that they don't breed confidence into the rest of the team. For me, the goalkeeper should be the one who can see the whole pitch. He should be calm, he should be composed, he should be able to shout when he needs to and pull players into position. But I think he should bring a calmness to the team, a composure to the rest of the team. And I think Bayindir does anything but that. I don't know about you guys personally watching it, but when I sit there at home, I'm watching the football on the TV, the second the ball comes anywhere near our box, the second a shot comes towards our goal, I'm a little bit worried. One of the reasons for that is because of Bayindir's performance in terms of the post-shot expected goals. Now, the reason why this is such a good stat and is a better stat than just normal expected goals is because it's post-shot expected goals. So it tells you and takes into consideration not just where the shot is from, but actually the quality of the shot and whether or not the goalkeeper should actually save it. And for Bayindir this season, so far, he's had minus 1.6 post-expected goals. So, he's not performing. He's conceded 1.6 more goals than you would expect him to, and that's without taking into consideration the saves he's made. I think he's an error-prone goalkeeper. Granted, I think his passing's been quite good, particularly his direct passing up towards Sesko. That's been quite useful. We've seen that particularly early on in matches, being quite effective for United. But is that enough to really keep him in the team? A player, yeah, sure, it's great that he can kick it to the halfway line with a fair degree of accuracy. But if he's costing us lots of goals at the back and is really breeding an uncertainty through the team, then it's just not good enough. And for me, he shouldn't be in the 11 any longer. He's flapping at crosses that come into the box, and with shots at him, he dodged the third one against Brentford last week. I don't want to be too critical, but he's not doing his job. And I always say this, no player should be undroppable. Bayindir hasn't been playing well. Now, normally I would make the argument that we should look for consistency. Over the past 3 or 4 seasons, we've struggled to play a settled goalkeeper and defence together, to build an understanding, to build a relationship. So far this season, we have started to have the opportunity. Bayindir's played a lot of football, so has De Ligt and so Shaw. But we've conceded 11 goals in 6 Premier League games. So I don't actually want to build a consistency between these lot anymore, because they're conceding goals, and I don't want that to be a consistent pattern. So, of course, the obvious solution is for this fella here to come in for his debut, Lammens, and I think it's about time. I understand why Amorim didn't bring him in immediately. It's difficult for a young goalkeeper playing abroad, coming into a different league. First of all, he's settling into a new country, a new culture, a new environment. He's got new teammates, potentially away from his family. I don't actually know. But also, it's a much more difficult division under much more pressure. Lammens is going to face more pressure, more scrutiny playing in goal for Manchester United than what he would pretty much anywhere else on the planet. It's a very difficult job. So I understood protecting him for the first few weeks. But when Bayindir has been so poor, letting goals in that he shouldn't be, it makes sense to change goalkeeper. Now, if we go back to that post-shot expected goals stat that we were looking at earlier, where Bayindir underperformed, last year Lammens massively overperformed. He actually overperformed by 14.5. He saved 14.5 more goals than he was expected to, once the quality of shot had been taken into consideration. Now, I do think some of that was because of, in the league that he was playing in, his defence was quite poor, so there was a lot of shots coming from distance, and sort of loads of these shots added up over time allowed him to rack up his performance, which saw him do quite well. But I do just feel that, generally speaking, he's a more competent goalkeeper than Bayindir, nowhere near as error-prone. Yes, he would come in with pressure, and yes, he is young, so there is every chance he would make a few errors early on in his career, but that's going to happen. If he isn't ready now, when is he ever going to be ready? And again, if we're going back to that consistency thing, that partnership thing, building connections with players around you, the best way to do that is to start doing it, right? He's never going to form an understanding with De Ligt or Yoro or Shaw or Maguire or Mazraoui, whoever it might be. He's never going to build a connection with those guys until he starts playing football matches with them. Yes, you can train together all day long, that's great, but you can't be going through a football match together, understanding how each other play, but also going through tough moments together, you know, facing a barrage of corners in a row and knowing that you've got to sort of stick together and fight together through those moments. That builds this chemistry between these players, these connections. The only way we're going to get that from Lammens is to actually put him in the net and ask him to play. And like I said, I think in terms of quality, he's a better goalkeeper than Bayindir. That's why we signed him, because we think he's one of the most promising young goalkeepers on the planet, right? Does he have areas where he can improve? Yes, I don't think he is perfect with crosses that come into the box or set pieces. I would be a little bit concerned there. That's where you need your leaders. You need your Casemiros, your De Ligt, again, your Maguires to get round him and help him in those moments as well, to sort of see him through those moments. But if Lammens is a better goalkeeper than Bayindir, if we signed him for that purpose, just get him in the team. Now, I made the point earlier that one thing Bayindir has been doing well this season has been his distribution. But importantly, that's been quite direct distribution. Manchester United have not been a team which is massively focused on playing out from the back. Of course, we've seen moments where De Ligt goes into midfield, centre-back split, and we look to play through. Of course, we have seen that every now and then. That happens for every football team. But if we are looking for a trend, we can look at the average distance of the Manchester United goal kicks, and you can see that Manchester United have averaged the 5th longest goal kicks in the Premier League so far this season. So yes, Bayindir's distribution has been good, I would say, early on in the campaign, but I don't think it's been something special. I don't think it's been something unique or something that's too difficult to replace. For example, if we had seen a goalkeeper playing in the first phase and absorbing pressure from the opposition before sliding passes into midfield, or constantly lifting beautiful passes out to the wing-backs, that might be quite difficult for us to replace. But because Bayindir's been playing quite a basic game, because United aren't looking to play through the first phase, I don't think that's difficult for us to replace. Lammens just needs to come into the team and bring a basic level of passing ability, and I absolutely think he can do that. We spoke about this the other week when he first signed for the club. He does have that ability to play in the first phase. Not a specialist with the ball at his feet, but quite two-footed, quite comfortable under pressure, willing to play the ball out from the back, and actually a really good long passer in terms of the trajectory of the long ball. That could actually be even better than what Bayindir has possessed so far. He's good at clipping the ball out to the fullbacks, particularly if he's playing towards the right-hand side. He's got good drive on the ball. On the left, sometimes a little bit too floated, which we've discussed, but I don't think that would be a massive problem. You know, the defence of Bayindir would be that he's been good on the ball. But good on the ball has just meant sending it long and occasionally finding our 6'5" striker. I think Lammens can do that, and therefore, again, I think he can come into the team. Now, realistically, we could sit and talk about the goalkeepers all day in terms of who's the better goalkeeper, who's better at shot stopping, who's better at saving, who's better at cross-claiming, set pieces, short and long distribution. We could talk about all these things all day long. The most important thing, I think, for the goalkeeper is the mentality, is the confidence, and the aura, I hate to use the word, between them and their teammates. You know, I think goalkeeper is such a unique position. It's why it gets a unique type of video. Normally, I prefer to be more analytical, more tactical. Today, I'm just sort of sitting and having a chat with you guys over my thoughts on the goalkeeper situation right now. So apologies if you don't like this type of video, but I'm a Man United fan like these guys, like you guys, and I want to see Lammens in the team. Today, I'm telling you why. I think the most important thing is just that the trust is gone with Bayindir. The cross is coming into the box. If I'm sitting there at home worried about that, the defenders have to be feeling the same. They have to have that same fear every time the delivery comes in. So that's useless to us. That's useless to us. If our defenders are panicking every time the ball comes into a box because they don't trust their goalkeeper, that's a problem. Now, I'm not saying that Lammens is going to come in and immediately command respect from his teammates. I'm not saying he's a player that's going to come in and be flawless and play like Edwin van der Sar. That's not necessarily going to happen immediately. He's a very young goalkeeper. It will take time to get to his top level. But I do think there may not be loads of confidence in him immediately, but I don't think there will be a fear with him, an anxiety with him, because we don't have those past failures with him. With Onana and Bayindir, we're almost mentally scarred. We've almost got trauma with those players because we've seen them make countless mistakes. In Bayindir's case, in very few games. He's not played a lot of football at this club, and he's always made mistakes in matches. We haven't had that with Lammens. So almost the ignorance of youth could be there a little bit. The ignorance of inexperience in this team. He may not have the fear because he hasn't been through the mistakes. In his career, he's been a good shot stopper. He's been a good goalkeeper. He's been signed from Manchester United for big money this summer. He should actually be coming in, strutting into Old Trafford full of confidence. And that's the sort of thing that I think can rub off on the defenders in front of them. If your goalkeeper looks confident, I'm immediately going to trust him more, which means I feel a little bit safer doing everything. I'm not overthinking things so much. Getting your goalkeeper right is absolutely crucial. Now, I don't think Lammens is a world beater, Will he be in 6 years? Hopefully, if we develop in the right way. If we give him the environment to succeed as a footballer, to grow as a player, great, he might be perfect someday. Right now, he's not. Like I've said a few times, he's young. He's going to take time. But I just think, again, very much a thought video more than analysis. I just think it has to be the time to bring him in because we can't keep playing the goalkeeper who is costing us a goal a game. Now, like I've said a few times, this is a very different video to what we would normally do because there's less analysis, there's less tactics, we're not looking at screenshots or match footage. It's very different to what we would normally do. But like I said, as a fan, I just want to sit here and talk to you guys about the goalkeeper situation because it's such a confusing one. Last year, Onana was clearly number one, and Amorim's view was that Bayindir was worse than Onana. That was the view, right? That's why he was number two. It was Onana, then it was Bayindir. Then what we've done is sold Onana and made Bayindir number one, made him our first choice goalkeeper, choosing actually to downgrade the goalkeeper in Amorim's own mind, which doesn't make sense. So I am of the belief that Lammens has been signed to overtake Bayindir, to become the number one and be our main goalkeeper. For me, no more waiting. No more waiting for the perfect moment, because that moment may not come. You could say we could do it after the international break, for example. Yes, he would have more time at the club, an extra 2 weeks, but then he'd be coming into a Liverpool game for his first game, not a 3 o'clock on a Saturday against Sunderland. I think in terms of pressure, even playing at Old Trafford would be good for him, having the home crowd behind him for his first game, rather than going to a tricky away game where the crowd's really close and on top of you and giving you stick all game. For me, this is the right opportunity for Bayindir to come into the Manchester United team and hopefully make that his number one spot. Like I said, I'm not guaranteeing he's perfect. I think he's fairly far from that, actually. But he's so young. He's got so much potential. He is widely regarded as one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. So now it's time for him to prove it. Ruben Amorim, put some trust in him, put some faith in him, put him in that starting 11 and see how he does. Hopefully, if he could get a clean sheet, our first clean sheet of the season, think of the confidence that he's going to get from that. And a goalkeeper with confidence can do magical things and actually transform your team. It sounds like a weird thing to say, but I really do think it spreads through the rest of the team. With David De Gea, we felt that he was going to bail us out, that he was going to get us out of jail, and that spread through the rest of the team and gave us more confidence to play and express ourselves. Lammens, over time, could have a similar impact, whereas I don't think Bayindir ever will. So for that reason, you get Lammens in your starting 11, you whack him in that net, and you say, help us. Help us, please and thank you. That's what I want Manchester United to do this weekend. From a fan point of view, less analysis, less tactics, just a fan opinion. I now want to hear yours in the comments though. Do you agree with me, or is it a case of still nurturing him a little bit more and not throwing him in at the deep end just yet? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and also whilst you're there, could you please leave a like, subscribe, and get your notifications on. But apart from that, we're finished for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.